I never believed in fate until the night the moon dragged me into another world. My name is irrelevant now, stripped away like everything else I thought I knew about reality. I was nobody special, just a man driving through backwoods territory after a conference that ran too late. My headlights cutting through fog so thick it seemed alive. The road twisted through ancient forests where the trees grew so close their branches formed a tunnel overhead, blocking out the sky. I should have turned back. Every instinct screamed at me to turn back, but I kept driving, and that choice changed everything. The first sign came when my car lurched violently, tires shredding on something that shouldn't have been there. Metal screamed against stone. I slammed the brakes, but the steering wheel went dead in my hands. The vehicle careened off the road, crashing through underbrush that tore at the doors like claws. When everything finally stopped moving, I sat there in the sudden silence, heart hammering, breath coming in ragged gasps. Steam hissed from the crushed hood. The headlights flickered once, twice, then died completely. Darkness swallowed me whole. I fumbled for my phone, but the screen stayed black no matter how many times I pressed the button. Dead. The battery had been full 20 minutes ago. I tried the door and it groaned open, hanging crooked on broken hinges. Cold air rushed in, carrying a smell I couldn't place. Something wild and ancient, like iron and earth and something else. Something that made my skin prickle with instinctive fear. I stepped out into the forest and immediately knew I'd made a terrible mistake. The trees were wrong. I couldn't explain how or why, but every branch, every shadow, every whisper of wind through leaves felt alien. The fog moved with purpose, coiling around my ankles, pulling at me. And the moon, when I finally glimpsed it through the canopy, was impossibly huge. So bright it hurt to look at directly, full and bloated and somehow aware. It watched me. I felt its attention like a physical weight pressing down on my chest. Then I heard the howls. Not dogs, not wolves as I knew them. These were deeper, more complex, carrying harmonics that shouldn't exist in animal throats. They surrounded me, coming from every direction, sometimes near, sometimes distant, impossible to track. I ran. Pure panic overrode any rational thought. Branches whipped my face, roots grabbed at my feet, the fog thickened until I was running blind through a world that didn't want me to escape. My lungs burned, my legs screamed, and still the howls followed, patient, inevitable, herding me deeper into whatever nightmare I'd stumbled into. I burst into a clearing and skidded to a stop. The space opened before me like a cathedral, ringed by standing stones that predated any human civilization I knew. They towered overhead, covered in symbols that hurt to look at, that seemed to shift and writhe in the moonlight. In the center of the clearing stood an altar, smooth black stone that reflected the moon like dark water, and around it, waiting for me, was the clan. Women, dozens of them. But calling them women was like calling a hurricane a breeze. They moved with liquid grace that was almost painful to watch, every motion perfect, predatory, hypnotic. Their bodies were human in shape, but wrong in detail. Too perfect, too powerful, muscles visible beneath skin that seemed to glow from within. Some wore simple leather and fur, others were nearly naked, painted with symbols that matched the stones. Their eyes caught the moonlight and threw it back in shades of amber and gold and silver that no human eyes should hold. But it was their hair that made me understand what they were. It flowed and moved independent of the wind, thick and wild, ranging from white blonde to black as midnight. And in that hair I caught glimpses of fur, of ears, of something between human and animal that my mind refused to fully process. These were not women who sometimes became wolves. They were both, simultaneously, impossibly, creatures of a threshold my world had forgotten existed. They watched me with hunger that had nothing to do with food and everything to do with something I didn't understand yet. Some smiled, lips pulling back to reveal teeth too sharp, too white. Others simply stared with an intensity that made me want to look away but couldn't. They formed a loose circle around the clearing, blocking any escape, and I realized with creeping horror that they'd been herding me here all along. The crash, the dead phone, the impossible fog, all of it orchestrated to bring me to this moment. "Welcome, wanderer." The voice came from everywhere and nowhere, melodic and commanding, touched with an accent I couldn't place. "The moon has brought you to us. The moon knows what it wants. She emerged from behind the altar, and everything else faded into insignificance. The Luna. I knew what she was without being told, the same way prey knows a predator. She was taller than the others, moving with an authority that made the air itself bend around her. Her hair was pure silver, flowing past her waist, shot through with strands that seemed woven from moonlight itself. Her skin was pale as bone, but luminous, covered in intricate tattoos that moved. I swear they moved, flowing across her flesh like living things. She wore a crown of antlers and bone, and a dress that might have been white leather or might have been something else, something I didn't want to identify, that clung to her body like a second skin. But it was her face that trapped me, beautiful in a way that transcended human beauty, sharp and wild and cruel and kind all at once. High cheekbones, full lips curved in a smile that promised both pleasure and pain, a nose that was aristocratic and slightly predatory, and her eyes, those impossible eyes, were pure silver, no iris, no pupil, just molten metal that saw through me, into me, reading every secret I'd ever kept, every fear I'd ever hidden, every desire I'd never admitted. What do you want from me? My voice came out broken, pathetic. I hated how weak I sounded, but couldn't stop the trembling that ran through my entire body. The Luna tilted her head, studying me like a cat studies a wounded bird. Want? We want nothing, little human. The moon wants. The ritual demands. And you? She moved closer, each step deliberate, each movement a work of terrible art. You have been chosen. I don't understand. I tried to back away, but my legs wouldn't obey. The other wolf women had moved closer, tightening the circle, close enough now that I could smell them. That wild scent of fur and earth and something electric, something that made my head spin. Of course you don't. The Luna reached out and traced one finger down my cheek. Her nail was sharp, leaving a tingling line that wasn't quite pain. Your kind never understands. You've forgotten the old pacts, the old ways, when the boundaries between worlds were thin and the moon held sway over more than tides. But we remember. We always remember. And once every generation, when the moon reaches its apex, we perform the awakening ritual. Awakening? I forced myself to meet her eyes, though it felt like staring into twin suns. Awakening of what? Her smile widened, revealing teeth that were definitely too sharp. Why, of you, of course. The moon has marked you, wanderer. It brought you here for a reason. There is something sleeping inside you, something that belongs to the old world, and we are going to wake it up. The other women began to chant, low and rhythmic, words in a language that predated language, that resonated in my bones and made my blood feel too hot, too thick. They moved in patterns around the clearing, graceful and synchronized, a dance that was older than civilization. Some had changed partially, sporting wolf ears that swiveled to track sounds I couldn't hear, tails that moved with their own intelligence, claws that gleamed silver in the moonlight. I'm not special, I protested, desperation making me bold. I'm nobody. You've made a mistake. The moon made a mistake. I'm just a guy who took a wrong turn. Please, just let me go. I won't tell anyone. I'll forget all of this. Lies. The Luna's hand shot out and gripped my chin, forcing me to look at her. Her touch burned and froze simultaneously. The moon makes no mistakes, and you lie to yourself most of all. Do you think we choose the strong, the brave, the special? She laughed, a sound like silver bells and breaking bones. No, we choose the ones who can be broken and remade, the ones who are ready to shed their skin, the ones who are dying in their old life and don't even know it. Her words hit harder than any blow, because she was right. My life before this had been empty, going through motions, pretending to be happy, pretending to be fulfilled, dying slowly in meetings and traffic and meaningless routine. Part of me had been screaming for years, desperate for something real, something true, even if it destroyed me. I see you understand now. The Luna released me and stepped back. Good. The ritual works better when there is acceptance, even if that acceptance is born from despair. What happens if I refuse? I had to try, had to resist, even knowing it was futile. Refuse? She spread her arms, encompassing the gathered clan. How? You are surrounded by beings who could tear you apart without effort. You are miles from anything you know in a world that operates by different rules. Your car is destroyed, your technology useless, your old life already a fading dream. You can refuse, yes. You can run, even. But the moon will bring you back. The ritual will happen. The only choice you have is whether you walk to the altar or are dragged to it. The chanting grew louder, more insistent. The wolf women's eyes had started to glow, that amber gold silver light spilling out of them like liquid fire. Some had transformed further, standing on legs that were more wolf than human, covered in fur that shimmered and shifted colors in the moonlight. They were beautiful and terrible, and I couldn't stop staring even though every instinct screamed at me to look away. "What does the ritual do?" I asked, buying time, trying to understand, trying to find any thread of control in a situation that had spiraled beyond all comprehension. "What will happen to me?" The Luna smiled again, and this time there was something almost tender in it. "That depends entirely on what you carry inside. Some men are transformed, become something new, something powerful. Join our clan as brothers of the moon, warriors and hunters blessed by lunar fire. Some men are destroyed, their essence consumed to feed the ritual, their souls scattered to strengthen the pack, and some, very rarely, become something else entirely, something we have no name for, something that changes everything, and you don't know which I'll be. The moon knows, but it hasn't told us yet. That's what makes this exciting." She gestured, and two of the wolf women moved forward, gripping my arms with hands that were gentle but unyielding. "Come, it's time. The moon waits for no one, not even the Luna." They led me to the altar, and I didn't resist. What was the point? Everything she'd said was true. I was so far beyond my depth that struggle was meaningless. Better to face whatever was coming with some dignity than to be dragged screaming. Though part of me, a part I didn't want to acknowledge, was curious. Terrified, yes, but also alive in a way I hadn't been in years. This was real. This mattered. Whatever happened next would be significant in a way that nothing in my previous life had ever been. The altar was smooth and cold beneath my back as they laid me on it. The stone seemed to pulse with its own heartbeat, slow and steady and ancient. The wolf women surrounded me, their faces looking down, some sympathetic, some hungry, some simply curious. And above them all, the moon stared down, so close now I could see patterns on its surface, swirls and symbols that matched the standing stones, matched the Luna's tattoos, matched something buried deep in my genetic memory. The Luna stood at my head, looking down at me with those impossible silver eyes. "Do you consent?" she asked, and there was something formal in her tone now, ritualistic. "Does it matter?" I asked. "To the moon? No. To me? Perhaps. I prefer willing participants. They survive longer." I laughed, shocked that I could still find humor in this nightmare. "Then yes, I consent. Not that I have any choice, but yes." "Good." She placed her hands on either side of my face, her palms radiating heat. "Then we begin. Try not to scream too much. It disturbs the harmony." The chanting rose to a crescendo. The wolf women raised their faces to the moon and howled, all of them at once, a sound so powerful it shook the standing stones, made the trees bend away, sent shockwaves through the earth beneath us. And the moon responded. Light poured down, not the cold silver light I knew, but something warm and alive and hungry, a beam of pure lunar essence that struck the altar and enveloped me completely. Pain. God, the pain. It felt like my skin was being peeled away, my bones liquefied, my blood set on fire. I screamed and couldn't hear my own voice over the howling. The Luna held my head steady, her face the only fixed point in a universe that had started to spin and fracture. "Don't fight it," she commanded. "Let it in. Let it remake you. Fighting only makes it worse." I tried to obey, but instinct is hard to overcome. My body thrashed against the stone, every nerve ending lit up with sensation that went beyond pain into something I had no words for. And through it all, I felt something foreign entering me, pushing into my flesh, my mind, my soul, burrowing deep and spreading like roots through soil. The moon was inside me now, and it was searching for something, tearing through my memories, my emotions, my essence, looking for whatever spark it needed to complete the ritual. Images flashed through my mind, Not mine, belonging to the Luna, to the clan, to countless generations of wolf women who'd performed this ritual over centuries. I saw other men on this altar, saw them transform into magnificent wolf-human hybrids, saw them torn apart when the moon found nothing worth saving, saw one, only one, emerge as something completely new, wreathed in light and shadow, neither human nor wolf, but something transcendent, something that made even the Luna bow her head in respect. "What are you?" the Luna whispered, and I realized she was seeing what I was seeing, the connection flowing both ways. "What is the moon finding inside you?" I couldn't answer. Words had abandoned me. I was being unmade and remade simultaneously, my sense of self fragmenting and reforming in patterns I didn't recognize. And underneath it all, I felt something waking up, something that had been sleeping my entire life, something vast and strange and terrifying. The moon had been right. There was something inside me, something old, something powerful, something that didn't belong in the modern world but fit perfectly here, in this impossible place, among these impossible creatures. The pain reached a crescendo, and then suddenly stopped. The silence was deafening. The moonlight receded, withdrawing back into the sky. The chanting ceased. Even the wind died away, leaving absolute stillness. I lay on the altar, gasping, every muscle trembling, covered in sweat that glowed faintly with residual lunar light. The Luna leaned down, her face inches from mine, her silver eyes wide with something that might have been awe or fear or both. "Impossible," she breathed. "In 500 years of performing this ritual, I have never seen. You shouldn't be alive. The amount of Luna essence that entered you should have burned you to ash." What am I?" I managed to rasp out. "I don't know." She helped me sit up, her touch careful now, almost reverent. "The moon has marked you, but not claimed you. You're not one of us. Not pack, not wolf. But you're not entirely human anymore either. You're something in between, something new." I looked down at my hands and saw they were glowing faintly, pulsing in rhythm with my heartbeat, covered in marks that looked like the Luna's tattoos but silver instead of dark, spreading up my arms and disappearing beneath my clothes. I could feel them across my chest, my back, my legs, a map of lunar power etched into my flesh. "The prophecy," one of the other wolf women whispered, awe in her voice. "The third path. We thought it was myth." "Silence." The Luna's command cracked like a whip, but I saw uncertainty in her eyes for the first time. She was scared. Of me. Everyone returned to the den. "The ritual is complete. I must consult the old texts." The clan melted away into the forest, shooting glances back at me that ranged from reverence to fear to desire. Within moments, only the Luna and I remained in the clearing, the standing stones looming around us, the moon still watching, but no longer pressing down with that terrible weight. "What prophecy?" I asked, finding my voice growing stronger, the lingering pain fading faster than should be possible. "What is the third path?" The Luna was quiet for a long moment, her eyes distant. Finally, she spoke. "There are two known outcomes to the awakening ritual. Join the pack or die. But there is a third outcome, mentioned in the oldest stories, before even my grandmother's time. A human who neither joins nor dies, but becomes something else. A bridge between worlds. A walker in silver. Someone who can move between the human realm and ours freely, bound to neither, belonging to both. And that's bad? Bad? No, dangerous. Absolutely." She turned to face me fully. "Such a being would be powerful beyond measure, able to call upon both human cunning and lunar magic. They could be our greatest ally or our ultimate destroyer, and we have no way of knowing which until it's too late." I stood up, surprised to find my legs steady despite everything I'd been through. The world looked different now. I could see things I'd missed before, layers of reality overlapping, threads of power connecting the standing stones, the altar, the moon itself. I could smell the recent presence of the wolf women, track their paths through the forest, hear their heartbeats in the distant den. My senses had expanded beyond human limits, but I was still me, still thinking with a human mind, still guided by human morality. "I don't want to destroy you," I said carefully. "I don't even understand what just happened to me. I'm no threat to your clan. Not yet, perhaps." The Luna circled me slowly, studying me from every angle. "But power changes people, and you have more power now than you can possibly comprehend. What will you do with it? Where will you go? You can't return to your old life. That door is closed. But you're not Pac, so you can't stay here either. Then what do I do? Frustration and fear bled into my voice. You dragged me here, put me through that torture, changed me into something I don't understand. And now you're saying I don't belong anywhere. The moon dragged you here, she corrected. We were simply the instruments. And as for what you do, that is the question that will define everything that comes next. She moved closer, so close I could feel the heat radiating from her body, smell the wild scent of her, see the conflict warring in her silver eyes. I could kill you now. It would be the safest choice. End the threat before it becomes one. But you won't. No, a hint of a smile. Because I'm curious. And because, despite everything, I believe the moon chose you for a reason beyond just power. There's something about you, Walker in Silver. Something that makes me want to see what you become. She reached up and touched the marks on my neck, her fingers tracing the silver patterns. The contact sent electricity through my entire body. Not painful, but intense. A connection forming between us that felt deeper than physical. You'll need a teacher, she said softly. Someone to show you how to control what's been awakened inside you. Someone to navigate the politics of our world. Someone to keep you alive long enough to find your purpose. And that someone is you? Perhaps, if you prove worthy. Her hand moved to my chest, palm flat over my heart, feeling it beat. The Pac won't accept this easily. Many will see you as an abomination, a violation of our sacred laws. Others will want to use you, harness your power for their own ends. And some, her eyes locked onto mine, will want you for other reasons entirely. There was something in her gaze that made my breath catch, a heat that had nothing to do with the ritual and everything to do with the undeniable attraction crackling between us. She was dangerous, deadly, completely inhuman in the ways that mattered, and I wanted her with an intensity that terrified me. Whether that was my own desire or something the ritual had planted in me, I couldn't tell. What are those other reasons? I asked, though I was pretty sure I knew. You really need me to spell it out? She laughed, low and throaty. You're something new, something unique, something powerful. In our world, power is the ultimate aphrodisiac. Every unmated female in the clan will want to bind herself to you, to produce offspring that might carry your gifts. And many mated females will want you too. Consequences be damned. And you? The question escaped before I could stop it. Her smile turned wicked. I'm Luna. I take what I want. But not tonight. Tonight you're too raw, too new, too likely to break if pushed too far. Ask me again when you've learned to control the silver fire in your veins. She stepped back, breaking the connection, and immediately I felt the loss of it like a physical ache. Come, I'll take you to the den, find you a place to sleep. Tomorrow, your real education begins. And Walker? She paused at the edge of the clearing, moonlight painting her in shades of silver and shadow. Welcome to a world that will either make you a god or kill you trying. There is no middle ground anymore. I followed her into the forest, leaving the altar and standing stones behind. The moon watched us go, and I swear I felt its satisfaction, as if everything had gone exactly according to some incomprehensible plan. My old life was gone, burned away in lunar fire. What I was now, what I would become, was a mystery even to those who'd created me. But as I walked behind the Luna, watching her move through the darkness with inhuman grace, feeling the new power coiled inside me like a sleeping dragon, I realized something fundamental had shifted. I wasn't afraid anymore. Confused, yes. Uncertain, absolutely. But the existential terror that had defined my existence before was gone, replaced by something else. Purpose. For the first time in my life, I had purpose, even if I didn't understand it yet. The den revealed itself gradually as we walked. Not a cave as I'd expected, but a village built into and around massive trees that dwarfed even the ancient forest giants I'd seen before. Structures made of living wood and stone rose 3, 4, 5 stories high, connected by rope bridges and spiral staircases that defied conventional architecture. Lights flickered in windows, warm and golden, and I caught glimpses of wolf women moving about their evening routines, some in human form, others partially or fully transformed, living lives that were simultaneously domestic and utterly alien. The Luna led me to a smaller structure on the outskirts, isolated from the main cluster of buildings. "You'll stay here," she said. "It's removed enough that you won't cause too much disruption, close enough that I can keep an eye on you. There's a bed, some basic supplies, clothes that might fit. Tomorrow someone will bring you food and begin your instruction." Whoever I assign. Don't worry, Walker. You'll learn everything you need to survive. Whether you learn enough to thrive, that's up to you." She turned to leave, then paused. "One more thing. Don't try to leave. The forest won't let you. Not anymore. You're bound to this place now. At least until you learn to control your power well enough to navigate the boundaries. And if you somehow did escape back to the human world, you'd be hunted. Not by us necessarily, but by others who've sensed the ritual, who know something new has entered the game." "Others? There are others like you?" Her laugh was dark. "Oh, little Walker, we're just one clan among many. Wolf women, yes, but there are also bear clans, cat clans, raven clans, creatures you have no names for, all playing an endless game of territory and alliance and betrayal. You've stepped into a war that's been waging since before human civilization, and you're now a very valuable piece on a very complex board." She left me then, disappearing into the darkness between trees with inhuman speed. I stood alone outside my new dwelling, looking up at the moon, feeling its pull in my blood, and wondered what I'd become. The marks on my skin pulsed gently, warm and alive, a constant reminder that I was no longer entirely human. I went inside and found it exactly as promised, simple but functional, lit by strange luminescent moss that grew in glass jars scattered around the room. The bed was large, covered in furs that felt impossibly soft. I collapsed onto it, exhaustion crashing over me like a wave, my body finally acknowledging the trauma it had endured. Sleep came fast but brought no peace. I dreamed of running through endless forests, sometimes on 2 legs, sometimes on 4. The moon always overhead, watching, judging, shaping me into something I couldn't yet comprehend. I dreamed of the Luna, her silver eyes and cruel smile, her hands on my skin, her voice whispering secrets in languages I shouldn't understand but somehow did. I dreamed of battles I'd never fought, losses I'd never suffered, victories that tasted like blood and moonlight. And underneath it all, I felt something growing, the power the ritual had planted in me, sending roots deep into my soul, spreading branches through my consciousness, blooming into something that would either save me or consume me entirely. The moon had chosen me for a reason, the Luna had said. But as I twisted through nightmare visions of transformation and transcendence, I couldn't shake the feeling that the moon's reasons were its own, and I was simply a tool to be used and discarded when my purpose was fulfilled. Unless I could find a way to seize control of my own fate, unless I could turn the power they'd given me into something that served my will, not theirs. Unless I could become what the prophecy suggested, a walker in silver who belonged to no one, bound by no laws except those I chose to follow. It was a dangerous thought, bordering on suicidal given my current circumstances. But as consciousness finally faded into deeper sleep, that thought remained. A seed of rebellion planted in the same soil as the lunar power, ready to grow alongside it, ready to challenge everything these creatures assumed about me. The moon had made a gamble bringing me here. The clan had taken a risk transforming me. And now they would all have to live with the consequences of what they'd created, whether those consequences proved to be their salvation or their doom. I woke to sunlight streaming through gaps in the wooden walls, though the light seemed different somehow, softer, touched with prismatic colors that shouldn't exist in natural illumination. My body ached, but in a good way, like after intense exercise, muscles sore but stronger. The marks on my skin had faded to faint silver lines, visible only if I looked closely, but I could feel them beneath the surface, pathways of power waiting to be activated. A knock came at the door, firm but not aggressive. "Walker in silver, time to begin." The voice was female but not the Luna's. I dressed quickly in the clothes I found folded on a chair, simple leather pants, and a loose shirt that fit surprisingly well, and opened the door. The wolf woman standing there was younger than the Luna, maybe mid-20s in human terms, though I suspected age worked differently for them. She had short dark hair, amber eyes, and a lean, muscular build that suggested speed over strength. She wore practical hunting clothes and carried herself with the confidence of someone who knew exactly how dangerous she was. I'm Kira, she said without preamble. The Luna has assigned me as your first teacher. Don't expect me to go easy on you because you're new. You're either going to learn fast or you're going to die. Those are the only options. Good morning to you too, I said dryly, a hint of a smile. You've got some spine at least. Good. You'll need it. Come on. We're starting with the basics. And the basics start with not dying when the forest decides to test you. She set off at a brisk pace, and I hurried to follow, noting that I moved more easily than I should, my stride longer, my balance better, my awareness of my surroundings heightened beyond normal human capacity. The ritual had changed my body in subtle but significant ways. Kira led me deep into the forest, away from the den, into areas where the trees grew so thick that the ground was in perpetual twilight. First lesson, she said, stopping in a small clearing. You're carrying lunar power now, which means every creature with any connection to magic can sense you. Some will be curious, some afraid, some hungry. You need to learn to shield yourself, hide your presence, or you'll be constantly attracting attention you don't want. How do I do that? Feel the power inside you. It's always moving, always radiating outward. You need to pull it in, compress it, make yourself smaller magically than you are physically. She demonstrated, and I watched her presence seem to diminish, becoming less noticeable, even though she was standing right in front of me. Now you try. I closed my eyes and searched for the power she'd mentioned. It wasn't hard to find. A warm current flowing through my chest, spreading to my limbs, pulsing in time with my heartbeat. I tried to pull it inward, to contain it, but it resisted, wanting to expand, to reach out and connect with everything around me. Don't fight it directly, Kira instructed. Guide it. Imagine a dam, not a wall. Let the power pool behind the dam. Build up pressure, but don't let it flow out. I adjusted my approach, picturing exactly what she described, and slowly, incrementally, felt the power respond. My presence shrank, became more contained, less obvious. Kira nodded approvingly. Better. Keep practicing that. Eventually, it needs to be automatic, something you do without thinking. We spent hours working on different techniques, shielding, sensing other magical presences in the forest, controlling the physical changes the ritual had given me so I could move faster or hit harder when needed, but not accidentally crush something delicate. Kira was a harsh teacher but fair, praising progress and correcting mistakes without unnecessary cruelty. As the sun reached its zenith, she called a break, producing dried meat and strange fruits from a pack I hadn't noticed her carrying. We sat on fallen logs and ate in companionable silence. Finally, I worked up the courage to ask the question that had been nagging at me all morning. Why are you helping me? The Luna said many in the clan would see me as an abomination. Kira chewed thoughtfully before answering. Many do. There's talk of challenging the Luna's decision to let you live, though no one's stupid enough to actually try it. She's Luna for a reason, and that reason involves being able to tear apart anyone who opposes her. But you don't see me as an abomination. I see you as an unknown variable. Could be dangerous, could be useful, could be both. But killing you before we understand what you are seems premature. She took another bite, studying me. Plus, I'm curious. I've heard the stories of walkers in silver my whole life. Never thought I'd meet one. The Luna called it the third path. Same thing, different name. Someone who can move between worlds, wield both human intelligence and lunar magic. In the old stories, they were mediators, diplomats, sometimes warriors, always crucial to maintaining balance. But there hasn't been one in over 300 years. We thought the bloodlines that could produce them had died out. Yet here I am. Yet here you are. Which means either the bloodline survived in hiding, or the moon decided to make an exception, or something else is going on that we don't understand yet. She stood, brushing crumbs off her pants. Come on. Afternoon session is combat training. If you're going to survive in the fight. Combat training, Kira held nothing back, attacking speed and strength that have killed. I learned quickly that my new body could take punishment that should have broken bones and left me bleeding out, though it still hurt like hell. I also learned that I had instincts now that I'd never possessed before, combat reflexes that let me dodge or counter moves I'd never seen coming consciously. By the time the sun started setting, I was covered in bruises, exhausted beyond measure, but also oddly exhilarated. I was growing stronger by the hour, learning skills at an accelerated pace that defied normal human learning curves. The lunar power wasn't just passive. It actively enhanced everything I did, as if the moon itself was invested in my success. Kira walked me back to my dwelling as dusk painted the sky in shades of purple and orange. "You did well today," she said, which coming from her felt like high praise indeed. "Same time tomorrow. And Walker, lock your door tonight. Not everyone in the clan is as neutral about your existence as I am. Some might decide to test you while you sleep. Test me how? Kill you, mostly, or try to. You're tougher than you were, but you're not invincible. Stay alert." She left without further elaboration, melting into the gathering darkness. I went inside, locked the door as instructed, and collapsed onto the bed. Every muscle screamed, but as I lay there, I felt something else, a presence approaching, magic that I could sense now thanks to Kira's training. It was powerful, familiar, and definitely not hostile. A moment later, a soft knock came at the door. "It's me," the Luna's voice called. "Let me in, Walker. We need to talk." I debated ignoring her, pretending to be asleep, but curiosity won out. I opened the door and she slipped inside, moving with that liquid grace that was simultaneously beautiful and unnerving. She wore a simple dress tonight, dark green, more human than her ritual garb, but no less striking. Her silver hair was loose, falling around her shoulders like a waterfall of moonlight. "Kira says you progressed well today," she said, circling my small room, examining it as if seeing it for the first time. "Better than she expected. The lunar power is adapting to you faster than normal. Is that good or bad?" "Both. Good because it means you'll be useful sooner. Bad because it means you're becoming more powerful faster, which makes you more dangerous." She stopped in front of me, close enough that I could smell her wild scent, see the subtle patterns in her silver eyes. "I've been consulting the old texts, trying to understand what you are, what you might become. And the texts are maddeningly vague. Walkers in silver are rare enough that we don't have good records. Most of what exists is mythology, prophecy, contradictory accounts from different eras, but there are patterns. They all suggest that walkers don't just bridge worlds, they change them. Their very existence forces both sides to adapt, evolve, sometimes revolutionize. You're saying I'm going to cause a revolution? I'm saying you're going to cause something. Whether it's positive or negative remains to be seen." She reached up and touched my cheek, her hand warm despite the cool evening air. "I'm taking a tremendous risk keeping you alive. My position as Luna isn't unassailable. If too many of the clan decide you're a threat, they could challenge me. I'd win, but challenges weaken the pack, create fractures that can take years to heal. Then why do it? Why not just kill me and avoid the problem?" "Because..." She hesitated, and for the first time since I'd met her, she looked uncertain. "Because the moon spoke to me during the ritual. It's never done that before, not in all my years as Luna. It told me to protect you, guide you, help you become what you're meant to be. And when the moon gives direct orders, even a Luna obeys." This was new information, significant information. What else did it say? That your path and mine are intertwined now. That what you become will determine not just the fate of my clan, but of all the magical races in this region. That you are either the key to a new age of cooperation between humans and magic kind, or the spark that will ignite a war that burns both worlds to ash. She leaned in closer, her lips inches from mine. "No pressure, Walker. The attraction between us was undeniable now, a magnetic pull that had nothing to do with ritual magic and everything to do with two beings recognizing something in each other. Danger and desire mixed in equal measure. She was a predator who could kill me without effort. I was an unknown quantity who might destroy everything she'd built. And yet we were drawn to each other like moths to flame, unable to resist despite knowing we'd probably get burned. "Luna," I started, not sure what I was going to say. "Celine," she interrupted. "My name is Celine. When we're alone, use it. Celine." The name tasted like moonlight and promises. "This thing between us, is it real or just a side effect of the ritual? Does it matter?" She traced her fingers down my chest, feeling the silver marks beneath my shirt. "Real or not, it exists. Denying it won't make it go away, but acting on it prematurely could complicate everything. You're not ready yet, and I'm not sure I am either. Ready for what? For the bond that would form if we gave in to this attraction. When a Luna takes a mate, It's not a casual thing. It's a magical binding, permanent, unbreakable. And given what you are, what we would create together, she shook her head. The implications are staggering. Then why are you here? Because I wanted to see you. Because I needed to make sure you were recovering from your first day of training. Because I'm drawn to you in ways I don't fully understand, and I'm tired of fighting it. She smiled, sad and beautiful. And because tomorrow gets harder, much harder. What happens tomorrow? Tomorrow, you meet the council, the elders of my clan, the ones who question my decision to let you live. You'll have to prove your worth to them. Demonstrate that you're valuable enough to justify the risk you represent. And if I can't, then they'll vote to have you executed, and I'll have to either support them or challenge the entire council to protect you. Neither option is good. She stepped back, breaking the physical contact, and immediately the loss of her presence felt like a wound. Get some rest. You'll need all your strength tomorrow. And Walker, when you stand before the council, don't show fear. They'll interpret it as weakness, and weakness is death in our world. She left as quietly as she'd arrived, and I was alone again with my thoughts and the fading warmth where she'd touched me. Sleep didn't come easily. I lay awake thinking about tomorrow, about the council, about the impossible situation I found myself in. A month ago, my biggest concern was a presentation at work. Now I was preparing to defend my existence to a council of ancient magical beings who could end my life with a word. The moon rose outside my window, visible through the wooden slats, and I felt its pull stronger than ever. It was watching me, judging me, perhaps guiding me, though I couldn't understand how or why. What did the moon want? What was I supposed to become? And how could I possibly survive long enough to find out? Morning came too soon. Kira arrived early, looking grim. Change of plans. The council moved up the meeting. They want to see you now, before you get any stronger. Before you have time to prepare arguments or learn enough magic to defend yourself. That doesn't sound fair. It's not. But the council doesn't care about fair. They care about the clan's survival. And right now, they see you as a potential extinction event. She handed me clean clothes, ceremonial by the look of them, dark leather decorated with silver symbols that matched my marks. Put these on. Look strong. The second you walk in there looking weak or scared, you're dead. I dressed quickly, and Kira led me through the den to a massive structure at its heart. A building that seemed to be carved from a single enormous tree, its walls living wood, its ceiling lost in branches that reached toward the sky. Wolf women lined the path, watching silently, some hostile, some curious, all intensely focused on me. Word had spread about the council meeting. Everyone wanted to see what would happen to the abomination who'd survived the ritual. The council chamber was circular, lit by shafts of sunlight that pierced the canopy overhead, dust motes dancing in the beams like tiny stars. 7 women sat in an arc around the space, each elderly by wolf-woman standards, which meant they'd lived for centuries, accumulating power and wisdom in equal measure. They radiated authority and danger, and even Kira seemed subdued in their presence. Celine sat in the center, wearing her Luna crown and ritual dress, looking every inch the powerful leader she was. But I could see the tension in her shoulders, the way her fingers gripped the arms of her throne-like chair. This was going to be a battle, and I was the battlefield. "Bring forward the walker in silver," the eldest council member commanded, her voice cracking with age but still carrying immense weight. I stepped into the center of the circle, very aware that I was completely surrounded, that any one of these women could destroy me before I could even think to defend myself. But I kept my head up, my posture straight, remembering Celine's advice: no fear, no weakness. "You stand before the council accused of being an abomination," another elder said, her eyes as cold as ice. "A violation of natural law, a corruption of the sacred ritual, a threat to the clan and to the balance of power in our territory. How do you plead?" The question caught me off guard. Plead? I didn't ask for any of this. The moon brought me here. Your Luna performed the ritual on me. I'm not an abomination. I'm just trying to survive. Your intentions are irrelevant, the cold-eyed elder snapped. What matters is what you are and what you represent. The awakening ritual has only 2 proper outcomes. You achieved neither. That makes you an aberration that should be corrected. Corrected meaning killed, obviously. Elder Moira, Selene interjected, her voice carefully controlled. The council agreed to hear the Walker's case before making a judgment. Let him speak. Very well. Moira leaned back, her gaze never leaving me. Speak, aberration. Tell us why we should allow you to continue breathing. This was it. My one chance to convince them I was worth keeping alive. I took a breath, reaching deep for words that might save my life. You call me an aberration, but your own prophecies speak of the Walker in silver, the third path, someone who bridges worlds. I didn't ask to be this, but now that I am, I could be valuable to you in ways no normal pack member could be. How? Another elder demanded. I can move in the human world without drawing attention. I understand human thinking, human systems, human weaknesses. If there's ever conflict between your clan and human interests, I could mediate, prevent misunderstandings from becoming wars. I could gather information, establish contacts, protect your secrets while navigating their society. We have ways of dealing with humans that don't require aberrations, Moira said dismissively. Do you? Because from what I've learned, the human world is changing faster than ever. Technology, surveillance, satellite imagery, humans are getting harder to hide from every year. Eventually, someone's going to stumble onto your den, onto other magical communities. When that happens, you'll need someone who can navigate both worlds, who can help you adapt without sacrificing what you are. This gave them pause. I could see the calculation in their ancient eyes, weighing my potential usefulness against the risk I represented. An interesting argument, the eldest said finally, but it assumes you'll remain loyal to us. What prevents you from betraying our secrets to the human authorities? What stops you from deciding your true allegiance is to your birth species rather than to those who transformed you? This was the crucial question, and I had to answer it perfectly. Nothing prevents that except my choice. I could betray you, just like any pack member could betray you if they chose. Loyalty isn't about bonds or compulsion, it's about shared interests and mutual respect. I have no reason to return to the human world. My old life is gone. Everything I am now comes from you, from this place, from the moon itself. But I'm not asking to join your pack. I'm asking to exist alongside it, as something different, something that serves both worlds by bridging them. Impossible, another elder declared. You cannot serve two masters. I'm not asking to serve anyone as a master. I'm proposing a partnership. You teach me, guide me, help me understand what in return, I use my unique position to help protect the clan from the changing human world. Everyone benefits. No one loses. Silence fell over the chamber. The elders exchanged glances, communicating, perhaps through magic, through centuries. Celine sat very still, her face an unreadable mask, but I thought I caught the faintest hint of approval in her silver eyes. Finally, the eldest spoke. Your words are clever, Walker. You've clearly thought about your position carefully, but words are cheap. We need proof. Proof that you're valuable. Proof that you can control your power. Proof that you won't become a threat that we'll regret not eliminating when we had the chance. What kind of proof? A test. You'll be given a task, something that only someone with your unique abilities could accomplish. Complete it successfully, and we'll reconsider your existence. Fail, and we'll execute you immediately. My mouth went dry. What's the task? Moira smiled, cold and predatory. In the northern reaches of our territory, there's a human settlement that's been encroaching on our lands. Loggers, surveyors, developers planning to clear-cut the forest and build vacation homes. We've tried scaring them away, but they keep coming back, more determined each time. We can't simply slaughter them without drawing attention from human authorities. You will go to this settlement, infiltrate it, discover who's organizing the development, and sabotage their operation in a way that makes them abandon the project permanently without leaving any trace that leads back to us. I stared at her. You want me to destroy their operation. Without violence if possible. Violence attracts investigation. We need them to leave and never come back because they believe the land itself is hostile to their plans, not because they suspect magical creatures are protecting it. And if I refuse, then you die here and now. Those are your choices, Walker. Prove your worth or be eliminated. I looked at Celine and saw the apology in her eyes. She couldn't protect me from this. The council had backed her into a corner. If I failed, she'd lose both me and credibility with her elders. If I succeeded, I'd buy myself time, but probably create new enemies among the council who'd wanted me dead. How long do I have? 7 days. The next council meeting is in 7 days. Return by then with proof of success, or don't return at all. I'll need supplies, information about the settlement, maybe someone to guide me to the edge of your territory. You'll have what you need, the eldest confirmed. Kira will prepare you. But Walker, understand that this isn't just about completing the task. It's about how you complete it. We'll be watching, evaluating not just your success but your methods. If you betray our trust, if you reveal our existence, if you cause problems we have to clean up, the result will be the same as failure. I understand. Then go. Prepare. You leave at dawn. Moira waved dismissively, already turning her attention away from me as if I no longer mattered. Kira escorted me out of the council chamber, her expression grim. Once we were far enough away, she spoke quietly. That was a trap. They gave you an impossible task. Impossible how? That settlement isn't just random humans. I've scouted it. It's backed by serious money, serious organization. They have security, surveillance, political connections. And the person organizing it? She paused. He's protected by something. I couldn't get close enough to identify what, but there's magic involved. Not our magic. Something else. My stomach sank. So this really is a suicide mission? Probably. The council wants you to fail. They're giving you just enough rope to hang yourself so Celine can't claim they didn't give you a fair chance. Kira looked at me seriously. You have 2 options. Try and probably die, or run now and definitely die when they hunt you down. Or I succeed and prove them wrong. You're insane if you think that's possible. Maybe I was. But as we walked back to my dwelling to prepare, I felt something stirring in the lunar power. A sense of purpose, almost excitement. The moon had brought me here for a reason. Maybe this was it. Maybe this impossible task was exactly what I needed to discover what I truly was capable of. Celine found me that evening as I was packing supplies. She'd shed her ceremonial garb for practical hunting clothes, looking younger somehow, more vulnerable without her Luna trappings. I'm sorry, she said without preamble. I tried to give you more time, more training. But Moira has been gathering support against you since the ritual. This was her move to force the issue. It's fine. I knew this was coming. Don't lie. You didn't know it would be this hard. She moved closer, her presence immediately dominating the small space. The settlement they're sending you to is dangerous for reasons they didn't fully explain. There are hunters there, human hunters who've learned just enough about magic to be a threat. They're the real target. The development is cover. Moira wants you to walk into a trap. Then why send me at all? Why not just kill me? Because this way, if you somehow succeed, it solves a real problem for us. And if you die, it looks like you were too weak to deserve protection. She wins either way. Celine's hand found mine, squeezing gently. But there's a third option she hasn't considered. What? You don't go alone. I looked at her sharply. You can't come with me. The council would see it as the Luna protecting her pet aberration. You'd lose credibility. Not me. She smiled slightly. But I can send someone off the books. Someone skilled enough to keep you alive, experienced enough to handle hunters, and loyal enough to me that they won't report back to Moira. Who? You'll meet her tomorrow. Her name is Astrid, and she's the best tracker and assassin in the clan. She also happens to be my cousin, bound to me by blood and oath. Celine pulled me closer, her forehead resting against mine. You're not dying on my watch, Walker. I've invested too much in you to let Moira's political games end this before it even begins. And if we succeed, then you'll have proven your worth beyond question. You'll have allies in the clan, including me. And the council will have to accept that killing you would be more trouble than it's worth. Her lips brushed mine. Not quite a kiss, just a promise of what might come later. But first you have to survive. So listen carefully to everything Astrid tells you tomorrow. She'll teach you things Kira couldn't. Darker things. Techniques that aren't shared with trainees. Things you'll need if you're going to survive humans who hunt monsters. She left soon after, and I spent the rest of the night in restless half-sleep, my mind racing through scenarios, most of which ended with my death. But underneath the fear, I felt something else growing. Determination. Anger, even. The council saw me as a disposable pawn in their political game. Moira wanted me dead. Fine. I'd show them exactly what a walker in silver was capable of. I'd complete their impossible task and return triumphant. and then they'd have to deal with the implications of what they'd created. Dawn came cold and grey. Astrid was waiting outside my dwelling, a tall woman with ice-blonde hair and eyes so pale they were almost white. She radiated lethal competence, every movement economical and precise, a predator who'd honed her skills over decades of hunting things that could fight back. "Let's go," she said without introduction. "We have a long walk ahead, and I need to teach you how to kill without leaving evidence before we reach the settlement." As we set off into the forest, leaving the safety of the den behind, I looked back once and saw Celine watching from a high platform, her silver eyes catching the early light. She raised one hand in what might have been farewell, or might have been benediction, and then the trees swallowed her from view. The test had begun. 7 days to prove my worth, or die trying. 7 days to sabotage a development backed by hunters who knew enough about magic to be dangerous. 7 days to become what the Council feared most, what the prophecies promised, what the moon had marked me to be. A walker in silver, a bridge between worlds, a creature that belonged nowhere and everywhere, bound by nothing except the choices I made. And as Astrid led me deeper into unknown territory, teaching me in hushed tones how to move unseen, how to kill silently, how to manipulate human perception and technology with lunar magic, I felt the power inside me responding, growing, evolving, preparing for whatever came next. The moon watched from behind clouds, and I swear I felt its satisfaction, as if everything was proceeding exactly according to plan, even though I still didn't understand what that plan was, or what role I was truly meant to play in the game that had been set in motion the moment my car crashed in an impossible forest under an impossible moon. The story of my transformation had only just begun, and the ending, whatever it might be, was still unwritten, still mine to shape, if I could survive long enough to see it through.